Okay, so again, I have Josephine Broussard and Diane Weiskittle, and they're going to talk a little bit about their advice related to outlining civil procedure.
My outline I started right from the beginning of the semester. I didn't wait till intersession or before exams. That time is too valuable. So I was outlining. I had scheduled time every week where I would outline, and my outlines went from really huge, and every time I would edit them every week, they got smaller and smaller as I re-engaged with the material. I think by the time I took the exam, I had maybe 30, not even 25 pages in the outline. But I say outline is so important because, one, you're using that to get a structured organization for what you're learning. Two, you're going back to it. It's helping reinforce what you've learned so that you're not trying to cram it all right before the exam. But as you become more efficient, you'll find that you'll condense the outline as well. And I say put the outline in a format that works for you. I know there's a lot of sample outlines out there that's where you can get outlines, but another person's outline does you no good whatsoever. You can look at those to get tips and ideas of how to make your own outline, but your outline is really what works best for you and how to learn material. So it needs to be a working, changing document, and you need to put it in a format that works for you. And if you like tables, do tables. If you like charts, do charts, but make it work for you and keep up with it regularly. Don't take notes in class for 3 or 4 weeks and then decide you're now going to sit down and try to outline, because by the time you get to do that, you've forgotten something or you've mixed material together and it's just not as clear as it needs to be.
Well, I totally agree with what Josephine said about not waiting to outline. However, being completely honest, I didn't even start my Civ Pro outline until intra-session. And then I did stay on top of it, and I think that is the right approach, because it is painful when you delay starting your outline for many weeks and then you sit down to try to do it in a couple of big chunks. And once I experienced that pain, I did not want to go through it again. So I guess the message there is, if you haven't started it yet, you can still be okay. But I definitely wouldn't delay past intra-session to start your outlines. Like Josephine said in the last video that we did, the way that I structure my outline was much the same way Professor Cox structured the syllabus. So thinking about it in terms of like the complaint and then discovery and judge and jury. And I would strongly discourage you from just simply typing the rule into your outline. You're going to be able to bring the rules into your exam, so that is wasted time on your part, and it's also going to add to the length of your outline unnecessarily. What's more beneficial is to put the rules into your own words, and that is really challenging yourself to make sure you do understand what it's saying. And you'll also have from your notes some helpful explanations and things like that from Professor Cox. Make sure you include those explanations in your outline where you have, Rule 8. How did she explain it? If that worked well for you, type your explanation like that. If I know many times in our class, Professor Cox did diagrams that she put on the board. Create those diagrams in PowerPoint and put those into your outlines if you find them to be useful learning tools. I know, like Josephine said, I had a lot of diagrams in my outline, and much of those were diagrams that Professor Cox drew up on the board. It really did help me out. I also included case names in my outline, but I would include just a 1 or 2 sentence summary of the case, enough to trigger my memory of what it was about, and maybe sort of just the nugget that you're supposed to get, the rule of law from the case. I think that's helpful too, and I also think come exam time, one way that you can potentially distinguish yourself on a final exam is if you can cite the rule and then follow it up with the case from which you obtained that rule. My final piece of advice that I would say is to index your outline. What I mean by that, because you're going into an open book final, after you have your outline completely done at the end of the semester, go back through it page by page and have one sheet of paper where you're writing down, okay, complaint, page 1, issue preclusion, page 20. Think of all the ways you might refer to the particular issues and topics in your outline, and then create one cover page that you'll put on top of your outline that you alphabetize, and you're referencing the topics, again alphabetized, with the page number, so that when you get an essay question and it's on claim preclusion, then instead of rifling through your outline and wasting time, you look at your index and go to page 24. That saved me a lot of time on the final, and definitely time will be at a premium.